All right, Galen, it's a big day today. Obviously a big record, and then 5 miles after, so 7 miles of fun. How are you feeling after everything?
I'm pretty tired right now, but I'm very happy. I thought I had the shot to go back to the world record, and that was definitely our goal coming in. But I'm very happy to get the American record. Anytime you break something, it's very special. So it's kind of cool now to have everything from 3K up, and it's kind of unified, I guess. And now I'll try to go after the mile next week, but that's gonna be a tough one for sure. In 3 weeks, I guess. So
what are you thinking about in your workout today after going through that race? I know you're on a 6-minute pace, and then that last half mile or so, trying to hold on. Are you thinking about that in the workout, where you kind of need to work on in those races?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I think I just went out a little bit too hard today. My strength is great right now. I'm really happy with where that's at. I think we just got to do a little bit more speed work now and get myself really sharp for the mile, obviously, because it's just comes to doing more fast stuff, which I haven't. We've done a good amount, but not quite where I need to. So I think paces were great. And they did a great job, but might have just been a little bit too ambitious for where I'm at right now. But I was just happy to hold on. I'm starting to tie up definitely about a mile and a half, and so just try to tell myself to stay calm, stay relaxed, hold my form, and make sure I finish strong. And then once we did the workout, that's just about taking it mile by mile, not trying to get too caught up on what you got left or anything. Just take it one interval at a time. And, I'm glad because that's my last really long interval workout until the USATF meet. So happy to have that done now, and I can just focus on resting a little bit more and get ready for the mile.
What records do you get more excited about going after? A record like a mile or a 5-10K?
They're all special to me. I think being a distance runner, it's fun to go after the 5K, 2 miles. It's a little more in my wheelhouse, but I'm really happy and excited to be able to go for the mile too. It's not often I think you get a chance for distance runners to give that a shot. And, while it might be a little bit out of my comfort zone, I think that it's definitely within my reach. We do a lot of hard training, hard speed work. So look at what Mo did last summer. It's like distance guys can still run fast for a mile, so there's nothing that says we can't. And, I'm gonna give it my best shot, but it's gonna be a tough one for sure.
Are you gonna rest up more for the mile, you think?
We'll get back from training right now, but yeah, we'll definitely. I don't think you can go into that race tired.
No. And who have you been training with, getting ready for these races in the mile?
Oregon Project teammates. We all run together. So the whole point of having a training group is to be able to train together and push each other every day in practice.
And what's your goal for Worlds?
So finish as high as possible.
No particular place in mind? Are you going for first? Or?
Of course I'm going to try to win. Every one day race trying to get second or third.
Yeah. What do you think your shots are?
What?
What do you think your shots are?
What do I think my shot is?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good. You don't run to try to get second or third. And that's what all my training's for, is to do well at these big championship meets.
Yeah.
Galen, just a couple more questions about the race specifically. Today in that race, you guys went out on that 4-minute pace. I think 6 minutes through a mile and a half. What was it like, just that initial stages when you knew you were on pace and that world record was what you were aiming for at that point?
I try not to think too much about the time, worry about the time in those races. You just have to put all your faith in the pacers and know that they did a great job, which they did. Taylor did a great job last week. He was right on the money, and he did the same this week. And then obviously Pat and Bethwell were able to keep it going. And I was just trying to stay relaxed back there, and if you get too caught up on every lap, it's just draining to think about it. So just try to sit behind them and relax, and then when it's time to go on your own, you just got to drive all the way to the finish.
When 6:30 wasn't on the clock, that after that mile and a half, it was I think 6:32 or whatever it was. What went through your mind when you saw that?
I didn't really look at the clock. I knew that I was tying up a little bit, and it felt fast. So I knew we had probably gained a little bit of time in the beginning, but I was just trying to tell myself to keep my form and hold on to the finish, because I knew it was going to be a little bit rough that last half mile.
When was the first time that you thought in your mind that you would go after a world record by a guy like Bekele?
You know, we talked about it early on in the season. You know, when I started training in the fall, it was something that, you know, I thought was definitely within my reach, and the way what my training was going, it was. I thought that it was something that I could do. And, you know, obviously it's a world record for a reason. It's hard to get, but you know, you can't be scared to put yourself out there and go after it. You know, I think that track and field is to make people want to not talk about pressure, not talk about, you know, just sit and have fun, which you should. But at the end of the day, you know, to be successful in any sport, you got to be able to deal with pressure. And, you know, I like the fact that our group, we put it out there, that we try to do something and try to go after it, you know, because it's just like a championship race. You got to be ready to go on a certain day. There's no excuses where you can say, well, my training was going well, but it didn't happen today. You got to be ready to go when it counts. And so, in a way, I think that, you know, going after all these records and setting those dates early and going after it is great for us. It's great practice when we're trying to get ready for a world championship race. Because, you know, we're used to dealing with that pressure.
2 or 3 years ago, were you a guy that would have looked at that record and said, I can do it?
I think so. I mean, that's always been the goal, is to try to go after it. But, you know, you just got to take it incrementally. And one of the great things that you kind of learn, all our coaches do, is just try to do a little bit more, squeeze a little bit more out of us every year. And we've had really great results as far as improving every year and getting better.
Nice job today, again.
Congratulations.